Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's Juan Solo here with A Squad Gaming, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in today for some more Ghost Recon. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a brand new official survey that Ubisoft has been sending out via email, and it is mainly directed at the Ghost Recon franchise. So we're going to be going down through a few of the more important questions that were a part of this survey and brainstorm a little bit about the possible direction of the next installment of the Ghost Recon franchise. Also, from what I understand, not everybody that has played Ghost Recon is receiving this email, so make sure to go over to your own email and check and see if you got an email from Ubisoft. The email itself will be from the official Ubisoft email address, and the subject will be, "What are you looking for in an open world shooter?" The title alone kind of gives it away because there aren't really that many open world shooter games under the Ubisoft brand, but a lot of the questions relate to previous Ghost Recon games and what you would want to see in the next installment. So with that being said, real quick before we hop into things, if you guys go on to enjoy the video, a like rating would be super appreciated. Also, for those of you that may be new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you do not miss any of my future uploads. So just the other day, I actually had a number of people that were commenting on my recent Ghost Recon video saying that they were getting a survey sent to their email from the official Ubisoft account, and the survey was highly focused on the Ghost Recon franchise. At the time, I hadn't noticed any emails from Ubisoft, but I decided to go over and check, and sure enough, I had the exact same email. So the email itself, like I said earlier, says, "What are you looking for in an open world shooter?" And it also goes on to say that as part of our efforts to provide our players with the best open world games in the industry, we would like to hear from you on your experience with our games. We would greatly appreciate it if you took a few minutes to share your feedback on our recent open worlds, what type of content you enjoyed in them, and how you engaged or not with these games. Originally, I didn't really take anything from that original email as it really pertaining to the Ghost Recon franchise, but as you go through the questions of the survey, it is definitely hinting at them trying to get feedback on the next installment of the Ghost Recon franchise. With that being said, I'm not going to be going down through every single question that was a part of the survey, but we're going to be going down through highlighting a handful of questions that I thought were extremely important for the survey itself, as well as the Ghost Recon franchise as a whole. So as you guys first open up the survey itself, you're going to be greeted with a message saying, "Hello and thank you for taking the time to answer the survey. You have been targeted because you have played one of our multiple recent open world games or shooters from Ubisoft. Our goal is to better understand your experience with these games and how you interacted with their content. This survey will ask you questions about your general gaming habits and your experience with the open world shooter genre. It should take roughly 10 to 15 minutes to complete, and that is pretty accurate. I think it took me just over 10 minutes to actually complete the survey, and I was pretty in-depth with a couple of questions that allowed you to fill in the blank. So the first question I wanted to highlight here in today's video is, how important is seeing the impact of your actions to you in an open world shooter? So this directly correlates with what I believe to be Operation Motherland and Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Just like I talked about in the video that I put up the other day, that is the pinnacle experience of Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Things that you actually do in the game have effects on the world as you play through it. This is one of the big things that a lot of people want to see for the next installment of the Ghost Recon franchise, and I have also said this a number of times. We want to see an Operation Motherland style system, but on steroids. Having more things to do and having a positive and negative effect on the world around you is a must-have for the next game. So moving on to the next question, and this one is, how important is having a serious and mature storyline to you in an open world shooter? This one is definitely a huge topic of discussion when it comes to the actual story part of the game, because when it comes to a realistic military shooter, it needs to have a serious and mature storyline for it to be believable. Not to mention, that was sort of the pinnacle experience of the earlier Tom Clancy games. It was revolving around what-if scenarios with the geopolitical status of the world in the late 90s and early 2000s, and I think a return to that would be an instrumental thing for the success of the franchise moving forward. So the next question was actually extremely important in my opinion, and it was, how important is living a realistic military fantasy to you in an open world shooter? This is the biggest thing when it comes to the Ghost Recon franchise over the last 3 games. They have been leaning a lot more in the direction of an arcade shooter, and I think the next logical step for the franchise is definitely leaning more in a realistic military type of game. I've said this before and I will definitely say it again, we do not need to go full mil sim like Arma, for instance, or even Escape from Tarkov, but finding a happy middle ground between the current games and those more milsim games I think would really hit the sweet spot for the Ghost Recon franchise. So the next question actually gave a few different options to choose from, and this was mainly focusing around in-game systems that could be in the next installment of the Ghost Recon franchise. So the question asked, how interested would you be in each of the following systems in a future Ghost Recon game? They didn't beat around the bush with this question. It is definitely correlating to the next installment of the Ghost Recon franchise. So the three systems are a base of operations with creation and management, so possibly something along the lines of the base of operations in the Division games, where you did things out in the world and it allowed you to upgrade your base of operations and in turn have new abilities and other things that you will gain access to as you upgrade it. This is something that we have never seen in a Ghost Recon game, but in my opinion, this would be a really cool addition to the game, especially if we were a ghost team that is sent into an active war zone or something. This would definitely be a really cool addition to the Ghost Recon franchise. The next system I was a little bit confused by because it's pretty much been in the last two Ghost Recon games as a major staple, but it says visual customization of a playable character, which, like I said, this has been a staple in the last two iterations of the Ghost Recon franchise with Wildlands and Breakpoint, so I'm not sure if they're testing the waters to see if that is an important feature, because it is definitely an important feature. But with the recent rumors about the game being first person only, maybe they're asking how important that feature would be if you can't see your character. So who knows, that's definitely an interesting one because it's been a staple in the last two games. But moving on to the last one, it is character leveling and progression. I know as a military soldier, a lot of you guys want to go in and know everything and be able to use anything in the game. But in the end, it is still a video game and there needs to be some sort of progression or it's going to be extremely boring. We definitely don't need gear score or anything like that, but being able to level up your character, unlock perks and different things, and maybe have some proficiencies with weapons based on how often you use them or things like that, those would be really cool additions to the game. But I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys have to say on that, because I know a number of people that are definitely a little bit picky when it comes to the character leveling and progression in a Ghost Recon game. But with that being said, we're going to be moving on to the final question that was in the survey, and this one was a little bit tricky because it definitely took me a little bit while to answer because I kept shifting these around. It gave you 5 different options and you have to put them in order from 1 to 5 based on how important each of those elements are from the Ghost Recon franchise. Well, the 5 options that you had to choose from are tactical gameplay, the military realism, the co-op gameplay, the story and characters, and the open world. Like I said, out of all the questions, this one definitely took me the longest, but I ended up saying that the tactical gameplay is by far the most important, followed by the military realism, because in my opinion, we definitely need to get away from the arcade style that has been heavily prevalent in the last 2 games. Next, I said the co-op gameplay, followed by the story and characters, and lastly, the open world. I 100% expect you guys to disagree with the order that I put these in, but overall, the tactical gameplay, in my opinion, is definitely the most important, because the entire game is going to be based around that. And like I said before, we definitely need a shift away from the arcade style gameplay to more of a military realism style. We all know that Ubisoft is good at making open worlds, but I'm going to tell you right now, I have my fingers and my toes crossed, hoping that they give us a more Wildlands style open world and not a Breakpoint style open world, because anybody that thinks the Breakpoint open world was better than Wildlands is obviously delusional, and we really need a return to a realistic, living, massive open world for the next installment of the franchise. But with that being said, guys, that is where I'm going to be wrapping up today's video. Let me know your thoughts on all of this down below. Let me know if you guys received the email and have taken the survey, and also based on the questions that I put in the video, even if you didn't get a chance to access the survey, let me know your thoughts on these questions down below and what your answers would have been. I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys have to say on this, because these are some massive points that really need to be addressed for the next installment of the franchise. But I'll be honest, I'm extremely excited to see a survey like this, because it pretty much confirms that a new Ghost Recon game is in active development, and they're looking to us as the players that have played recent Ghost Recon games, and they're asking for our feedback to help shape the next game. I'm definitely excited to hear more from Ubisoft, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get some sort of information later this year, but I'm definitely not going to be holding my breath. I definitely think this is going to be a game that gets revealed at some point next year, because I believe the leaked release date was set for the fiscal year of 2025, but who knows, if that has been delayed, especially being the fact that we don't have any official information from Ubisoft on the next installment of the franchise. But like I said, that is where I'm going to be wrapping up today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, you are excited about the possibility of a new Ghost Recon game being in full active development, make sure to drop a like on the video and also subscribe if you are new to stay up to date on all content surrounding the Ghost Recon franchise here on the channel moving forward. But that is all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.